Welcome to this Tibetan flow. We'll start with some warm-ups. So standing with feet hip width apart. Breathing in, raise your arms upwards, clasping your hands and reversing your palms. Breathe out as you go to one side. Breathe in as you come to the center and breathe out as you turn to the other side. Come to the center. Breathing out, turn to the left. Come back to the center and turn to the right. And come to the center. Stretch your arms up, and if that's good for your neck, look up. Bring your head back to the center and then release your arms to shoulder height and turn as you look over towards your right hand to beyond your third fingers. Come to the center and breathing out, turn and look beyond the third finger of your left hand. And then come to the center and breathing out, lower your arms. Lift and roll your shoulders. And then sliding your hands down your legs to your shins. Breathe in as you extend along your spine to the top of your head and breathe out, bend in. Breathing in, extend along your spine and stay here as you breathe out. And then breathing in, press your feet into the ground and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing once more. Lift and roll your shoulders. And then clasp your hands behind you and aim the knuckles to the ground. This opens your shoulders. And then turn to the left. Come to the center and turn to the right. And come to the center. Release your hands and then place your hands on your waist to lift your heels. It's a balance. And lower your heels and release your hands. And then raising your hands up. You can look up if this is okay for your neck, stretching your fingers and breathing out low in your hands. Lift and roll your shoulders, opening the energetic pathways through to the head. And then once more, raise your hands up, clasp and reverse, your palms go upwards. Breathing out to the left, breathing in to the center, stretching up, and breathing out to the right. Stretch up. Turn to the left. Inhale back to the center and turn to the right. And come back to the center. Stretch up, and if that's good for your neck, look up. Bring your head back to center. Release your arms to shoulder height. Turn to look beyond the third finger of one hand, back to the center, and to look beyond the third finger of the other hand. Your head comes back to the center. Lower your hands. Lift and roll your shoulders again as you slide your hands down your legs to your shins. Press your hands into your shins as you lengthen your back from the tailbone
all the way to the top of your head. Breathing out, bend your knees, elbows out to the side. Press your hands down onto the shins, lengthening, and stay here as you breathe out. Then bend your knees, press your feet into the ground as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Lift and roll your shoulders and clasp your hands behind you, aiming the knuckles towards the floor, opening your shoulders. Enjoy the stretch and then turn to the left. Come to the centre and turn to the right. And then come to the centre. Release your hands, raise the hands up. Look up if that suits your neck, stretching your fingers. Bring your head back to the centre, lower your hands. Place your hands on your waist and lift your heels to balance. So it becomes a mindfulness practice, and then lower your heels. And release your hands back down to the side as you once more raise your hands up, stretching your fingers. And lower your hands back down alongside you. So come to the top of the mat. And we're going to do salute to the sun. There are so many variations of this, but this is just one of them. Inhale out, exhale, hands together. Inhale, hands up, and look up if that's good for you. Breathe out, bend, lowering down, hands either side. Step back with your right foot, stay high. Left foot, stay high. You're in plank. Feel that you can adjust your feet. Your heels are up, your lower abdomen is engaged towards your spine. You're in a straight line. And then bend your knees, both knees onto the ground, and come to lying. I'm going to come to lying via my elbows. But come to lying, stretching your hands out in front of you, stretching your feet behind. And then slide your hands back, elbows in, as you press down with your hands and come back to kneeling, tucking your toes and coming to a downward dog, bending your knees as you lengthen your spine and then begin to straighten your legs. Walk the dog by bending one knee, straightening it and then bending the other knee. And do this a couple of times. Then come to stretch both legs back, aiming the heels towards the ground. They don't have to touch the ground. And then bend both knees back onto the floor. Your hands go to the left. Your space is created to lift your right leg up, hands either side of the right foot. Tuck your back left toes underneath you, lift the back left knee, and step the left foot towards the right foot. And then pressing your feet into the ground as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing, and carrying on as you raise your hands up, either looking straight ahead or looking up if that suits your neck, stretching your fingers. And then lower your hands down alongside you. Inhale, exhale, hands together. Inhale, hands up. Stretch back. Breathing out, bend your knees as you lower your hands to the ground. Stepping back with your left foot stay high and right foot stay high. Make any adjustments that you need to come into plank. Your heels are up, your lower abdomen engages. And then breathing out, knees to the ground, and then come to lying on the floor, stretching your arms out in front of you. Really enjoy the stretch. Slide your hands back, elbows in, press down with your hands, come to kneeling, tuck your feet, make any adjustments. You're welcome to move your hands or your feet when you're up, and come into a soft downward dog, bending your knees to extend your back and then begin to straighten your knees. You can adjust your feet to being slightly wider than hip width apart if you want to. It's softer on your back. And then bend one knee and then the other knee, walking the dog. And then stretch both feet back. And then bend both knees back down to the ground, and this time move your hands to the right, giving space for your left foot to come up. Your hands go either side of your left foot, tucking your right toes under. Engage your lower abdomen towards your spine as you lift your back right knee and step your right foot towards your left foot, pressing both feet into the ground as you breathe in and roll up vertebra by vertebra. Inhaling, hands up, stretching your fingers, thumbs back, little fingers forwards. Breathing out, lower your hands. And another round, inhale, exhale, hands together at the heart centre. Inhaling, hands up, stretch back, breathing out, roll down. Hands to the ground. Step back with your right foot, keep high, left foot, you're in plank, heels up, lower abdomen engages. You're in a straight line. Then bend both knees to the ground and then come to line, stretching your hands out in front of you. Enjoy the stretch. Slide your hands back to a comfortable position and be by your shoulders a little bit lower. Engage your elbows in, press down with your hands, come back to kneeling and tucking your toes. Come to your downward dog. Lengthen your spine by bending your knees and then straighten your knees. Feel that you can adjust your feet. And then walking the dog, bending one knee and bending the other knee. You can sway your hips from side to side if this works for you too. And then come to a full downward dog. Enjoy the stretch. And remember to engage your lower abdomen in, so there is a tendency to let your tummy, or forget about your tummy and let it go. So a true dog just engages the lower abdomen in. And then bend both knees back down to the ground. Hands go to the left, right foot comes up. Hands either side of the right foot, tuck your left toes under. Once more, engage your lower abdomen in as you lift your back left knee and step your left foot to your right foot, pressing both feet down as you roll up to standing and then on up to stretching upwards. Breathing out, lower your hands. And last round, inhale, exhale, hands together. Inhale. Hands up, stretch back. Breathing out, roll down. Hands either side of you on the floor. Step back, left foot high, right foot high. Just come to your plank, toe, heels up. And then lower your knees to the ground, come to lying. Stretch your arms out along the floor. Slide your hands back, elbows in as you press your hands down to come back to kneeling, tucking your toes and coming up into downward dog. Extend your spine and then begin to straighten your knees. Feel that you can adjust your feet to being wider apart. Bend the knees, walking the dog, one knee and then the other knee. Extend both feet back. And then drop both knees to the ground. Hands go to the right, space for the left foot to come up. Hands either side of the left foot, engage your abdomen. Tuck your right toes under. Lift up your back right knee and step your right foot to your left foot. Press your feet down as you roll up to standing and then carry on raising your arms up. Stretch your fingers. Almost lean back and then come to upright and lower your hands alongside you. And then come to just sway gently from side to side. And come then to gently come to the centre and feet hip width apart, hands at the heart centre as you bend your knees to come onto the mat into a seated position with your soles of the feet aimed together in something called Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose, or cobbler's pose. So there are various modifications of this pose. Classically, you would come forward and clasp the outside of your feet, and that's really the strongest position. You'll feel this, and then sit upright. But you can modify by sliding your hands towards the insoles of your feet and just massage the soles of your feet with your thumbs. And if this is coming forward too much for you, you can always slide your hands back further to your ankles or slide your hands to your shins, and you'll find that you're sitting up a little bit more upright the more you slide your hands back. This opens the inner thighs, and the inner thighs have a proliferation of lymph nodes, so it's boosting your energetic immune system. You can bounce your knees if you want to. And then just slide your hands underneath your outside of your thighs to support the thighs as you slide your legs along the mat. Take the flesh out from underneath you, and then just rest your hands behind you. Classically, you should have your fingers pointing forward in Dandasana, but this is very relaxed. Just be comfortable. And just raise your toes towards the ceiling, and breathing out, point your feet away from you, stretching the tops of your feet, extending your heels, and then stretching your feet, and extending your heels, and stretching your feet. Just circle your ankles a couple of times in one direction, and then circle your ankles a couple of times in the other direction. Stretch your toes out and relax, or carry on to curl and scrunch them in with a warning on not to get cramp. Stretch your toes out and either relax them or just curl them in. And then just bounce your knees and open your feet away from one another so that your legs are in a very slight V. Bend up your right knee and place your right sole of the foot towards the inside of your left leg. Your left leg is outstretched along the floor. If you need support under your right thigh or right knee, then please take that in the form of a blanket or a bolster. Anything, jumper even, rolled up to support that if you need it. You extend your left heel and just place your fingertips either side of you to remind you to lengthen your spine. And then breathing in, raise your hands upwards and turn towards your left outstretched leg. Lower abdomen comes in to support and protect you. Now you can either come, if you've got a strong back, straight forward into a forward bend, resting your hands on your shins, or you can bend your elbows to soften the forward bend and slide your hands down your shins to where they feel comfortable. The teaching point here would be to lift up, extending almost upwards as you breathe in along the spine, and then come forward as you bend over. So you're not bending from the waist, you're almost bending or extending from the base of the spine. And this pose is called Janu Sukhasana, so it's head to knee pose. And it ticks several boxes. You can stay like this, or if you want a stronger forward bend, you can take your right hand to the outside of the left foot, and then your left hand is free to go behind you.
and then you can turn your head to look behind you. The back of your neck is long and your chin tucks in, but this is a bit of a stretch. So feel free to stay where you were, that's fine. Wherever you are, engage your lower abdomen in as you slide your hand, right hand back up your leg. Your right hand goes behind you, behind your right thigh, and then lift up your left hand and look to your left thumb. Again, this becomes a mindfulness exercise as you disengage the eyes from the stress centers of the brain. This is optional to roll onto the right as you lift up your entire body, stretching along laterally. Your chin tucks in and you can either look under your arm or you can look forwards or even look down and then relax back down onto your bottom. And take your left hand to your left leg, your outstretched leg, bend up your left knee, and so you become in a double V. It is one of the perfect hip health movements. Just lift up by placing one hand either side of you to support you as you breathe in and lift up. And then breathing out as you turn towards your right knee. And you can either stay here or you begin to walk your hands out, coming over your right knee, and you can come as high or as low as you want to. Just staying here as you breathe in and out. And you might feel that stretch along the outside of your right thigh. To come out of this, again, always engage your lower abdomen, your perineum slightly in to support your back, and walk your hands back up. Once more, place your hands either side of you again to give you support as you bring your knees up, and then stretch them out in front of you. Once more, just bouncing your legs. Just circle your ankles in one direction again, and circle them a couple of times in the other direction. And come once more to creating that V with your legs, sliding your heels slightly apart. And this time bend up your left leg, aiming the left sole of the foot towards the inside of the right leg. And gently raising your hands upwards. Extend your right heel as you turn towards your right leg. Lower abdomen in and either come straight forward or to soften it, bend your elbows as you slide your hands down your legs and rest on your shin wherever it feels comfortable as you take a couple of breaths in and out. And if you want to stay here, that's fine. And if you want to extend it, you would bring your left hand to the outside edge of your right foot and your right hand goes behind you. Your chin tucks in as you lower your head, extending your neck, and look towards the back right hand. Take what suits you. So this Janusirsasana pose is a forward bend, which is calming for the nervous system, and it's also a rotation, which is realigning for the spine, and it also opens your, in this case, your left hip. So hip flexibility, but also you've got that inner groin and lymph energetic system being looked at again. And then as we did before, come out of that by sliding your hands up to sit upright. Place your left hand behind you, and then your right hand goes up looking at your right thumb. And you can either stay like this, or pressing your left hand down, roll to the left as you lift up a long stretch along the right side. Your chin tucks in to protect your neck. And you can either look up under your arm, or you can look straight ahead, or you can look down at the ground. And then when you're ready to breathe out and lower your bottom back down to the ground. Come back to hands either side of you to just again give you support, and then just bend your knees, come back to the centre and straighten your legs. Just bounce your knees
And then come back to that double V, so bending your left leg, your right leg. It represents sort of like a V, almost like a chevron. Hands either side as you lengthen your body. And then turn towards your right knee. Or I'm going to correct myself because I think we did that before. So just come out, bend your knees, go to the other side, up your double V, and come to walk over your left knee. With apologies. And then just relax, breathing in and breathing out. And then lower abdomen in as you walk back upright again. And stretch your legs out again as you bounce your knees. And just massage your legs, rubbing on the outside, on the inside, down on shins. The rubbing action kind of stimulates circulation. I like rubbing, some people prefer tapping with the hands. And then sitting up, bending your knees, and coming to lying on your back. So the movements that we've been doing seated are focused right at the base of the spine. And now we move a little bit further up the spine, still quite low at the lower abdominal area, just in front of the spine, the back of the spine, just inside. And this is a reclining twist. So come to lying on your back. Adjust yourself, feet are hip width apart. Lift your bottom to make any adjustments that you might need to. And then stretch one leg out and stretch the other leg out. Extend your heels. Stretch both arms up above you. You can hold your thumbs if you want to get a good stretch, or you can clasp your hands and reverse them. And then keeping your right leg where it is, bend up your left knee, hugging your left knee into your chest. Enjoy this lower abdominal stretch. Keep your right heel engaged so your toes are up to the ceiling. And then very gently roll. You're keeping hold of your left knee. Just roll completely to the right. Your right hand can stay somewhere along the left thigh, and your left hand can either remain on your waist, or you can open your left hand out like a book and feel that very strong stretch under the arm, or you can bend your left arm at the elbow and just rest the back of your left hand above you. It's a reclining stretch at the lower abdominal level. And as I think I've said, all rotations like this are realigning for the spine, because the long muscles either side of the spine can shorten or get compressed, or we slouch. And so this stretches out one side and then the other side. Roll back onto your back, lower your hands, and hug the left knee and then the right knee into your chest and just rock from side to side. And then place your feet, both your feet on the ground, knees are upwards. And then slide your legs out and extend your heels. And then hug your right knee into your chest, extending your left heel. Again, we're back to that variation of knee to chest pose, Apanasana. And then very gently, still holding your right knee, roll your entire body so your hip lifts up and over onto the left. Your right hand can stay on your right waist, your left hand can stay somewhere along the left thigh. You can always use a cushion or a bolster or support underneath the right knee to support you. And then the option with the right hand on the waist is to either open the right hand absolutely out like a book, which is the strongest opening, and you'll really feel this under the arm. Or you can bend your elbow and raise your right hand above you, back of the hand on the ground. Or you can rest your right hand on your waist, which again still opens you up on the right side. It opens space for your lungs, and you've got, on your right shoulder, you've got the opening here, and the right shoulder, you've got some lung meridian points here in the inside of the shoulder, so either way you're opening the lung area. And just breathe here a couple of times. It's very easy, and in fact I've noticed I've just done that, to forget to extend the left heel, but classically you should extend your left leg and engage your left heel as well. But I do admit it's very easy to forget that. And then rolling onto your back. Once more, bend your knees and hug your knees into your chest. Feel that you can make an adjustment. Sometimes on the rotation you feel that you've got just slightly twisted. So hugging your knees into your chest. And now we're going to do a lying forward bend, which sounds weird, but if you drop your hands behind your thighs, clasping your hands, maybe that can help, and just raise your legs up, extending your heels. So you can imagine this pose. If we were a seated forward bend, we'd be coming forward a little bit more, but it's still maintaining that forward bend shape that you're lying on your back. Just staying here as you breathe in and breathe out. And then bend both knees back into your chest. Place both feet on the floor, hip width apart. Your hands can either rest on your abdomen with your elbows out, or you can open your hands wider, again resembling a T at shoulder height. Your palms would be down here. Just begin to sway your knees both in the same direction from one side to the centre and then to the other side. So you can open your feet wider than hip width apart, and this again will give you a wider massage across your lower back. It's entirely up to you. Your knee will drop further into the centre as you roll from one side to the other. And you can keep your head exactly where it is, or you can begin to involve your head in the movement. So as your knees go in one direction, your head would turn away from the knees in the opposite direction, bringing the head and the knees back to the centre. And as the knees drop to one side, your head turns away from the knees towards the other side. And in this way, you're moving both the base of the spine and the top. It's a real rotation, made very much safer by the fact that your spine is being supported by the floor. And so with that support, it's a much safer movement. Plus you're getting a lovely massage across the very lower back, or almost the top of your sacrum, the top of your bottom. And then coming knees to the centre, hugging your knees into your chest, and rolling to one side or rolling up. To come onto your hands and knees, and we move now from the lower abdominal level a little bit up to behind the navel. So in the yoga world, there are various energies, 5 main energies, and we've started with the base energy, but we now move the Upana energy, we now move to something called the Samana energy, which is very much connected to our digestive system. So coming onto your hands and knees in cat, and just make sure that your hands are shoulder width apart and your knees are hip width apart, and sway your hips from side to side, rock-a-bye baby. And you can stay with rock-a-bye baby, or if you imagine your bottom tracing a figure of 8, of a vertical figure of 8, you might like to bring your hands slightly forward to give you more room. Come forward, swirling round with your bottom to create that 8. Swirling round, your bottom will come back towards your heels, but how much you move and swirl in your 8 is entirely up to you. You can make a tiny 8 or a big dramatic 8. And in this movement, again, try and remember to slightly engage your tummy or your lower abdominal muscles in, so that you're not just letting it all hang out. And then the other thing that you can do is, if you're with this figure of 8 movement, is to reverse your figure of 8, which is actually a mind exercise because it's so easy to get muddled. I haven't ready, I can't remember which way I was going. But the dominant side of your brain will always take over and guide the way that you write your 8. Then gradually come back to where you were. And this time, kneeling, move as we do in Salute to the Sun. So the hands will go to the left and your right foot will go up. And kneel up. You can use your hands on your right leg to support you. If you find that you're wobbling massively here, you can have support underneath or cushion underneath or blanket underneath your left knee, but you can also move your right leg out towards the edge of the mat to give you more stability. And then also, unusually, you can adopt the more classic way of tucking your toes under. So it's optional. Some people really don't like that. It secures your back more if you tuck your toes under, but then some people don't like that sensation, so use or adopt whichever works for you, tucked under or flat. Raise your left arm, stretch your hands up, tummy or lower abdomen comes in, and then with your left elbow or left arm, reach over to your right side. Your left elbow rests on your right thigh almost, and your hands come together in prayer as you turn to the right, pressing your right hand down onto your left, which will lift your body up. The ideal is to have your heart level with your hands. That's not always possible. Your chin tucks in, the back of the neck is long. You can either look up, or you can look ahead, or you can look down. Wherever it's good for your neck. Take a couple of breaths here. And this is twisting at the navel level, the samana level. And then to come out of that, place both hands either side of your right foot. Feel that you can bring your right foot in a little bit to align you properly. Tuck your left toes under as you lift up your left knee and step your left foot to your right foot. And then, keeping your knees bent still, place the second and third fingers under your big toes, your thumbs are on top of the big toes, and you create a circle of energy as you bend your knees. And just enjoy that complete circle of energy, breathing in and breathing out. And then take your hands out from under your big toes, placing them either side of your feet again, and step, sliding your right foot back onto your right knee, so that your left foot remains upright. And again, take your time to adjust here. You might like to move your left foot slightly further out to the edge of the mat. Choose whether you have your right foot flat or tucked, and lift up so that you're kneeling up. Breathing in, raise your right hand upwards, lower abdomen engages, and then breathing out, bring your right elbow, right arm across the left, hands together, so this time the left hand's on top. Press down with your left hand, that lifts your chest up. I'm not quite aligning my chest with my hands, but I'm aiming towards there. And turning the head, either looking up, the chin is always tucked in for support, or you can look ahead, or you can look down towards the ground. And take a couple of breaths here. And then very slowly reversing, placing the hands either side of your left foot. Use this opportunity to move your foot inwards slightly to realign that foot if you need to do that. And then tucking your right toes under, lift your right knee and step your right foot to your left foot. Keeping your knees bent, you can either do that again by having the second and third finger under your toes, your thumbs on top, or you can take it one stage further and place your entire hand under your toes. That's a much stronger bend. You really might have to bend your knees quite a lot to do that. And if you're there, you can then begin to straighten your legs, which you'll feel instantly in the back of the thighs. But this is all optional. Taking a couple of breaths in and out. And then sliding your hands out from under your feet. And then bending your knees, coming back down to the ground. Moving your bottom to the side. And then coming onto your bottom. And coming back down to lying. Hands either side, knees bent, feet hip width apart. So with leg lifts, there are, again, many variations. So I'm going to do a hybrid. I'm not going to do the full movement. The full movement is legs flat, leg up, leg down. It can be quite strong on the lower back. So we're going to keep our knees bent and do a halfway house. So knees bent, feet hip width apart, and palms are down on the floor. Bend your left knee in towards you, straighten your left leg up to the ceiling, extend the left heel and feel the stretch along the back of the left leg. And then point the toes as you lower your left leg to the ground, just straight down. And when it touches the ground, extend the left heel, bend the left knee back in towards your chest. Your hands are palmed down so they're lightly supporting you. Left leg up to the ceiling, extend the left heel, point the left toes, and once more lower the left leg back down to the floor. Just before it reaches the floor, you can extend your left toes and let it rest on the floor. And last time, as you bend your left knee into your chest, extend your left leg upwards, extend the left heel. And now as you breathe out, point your toes, lower your left leg back down to the floor. Just before it gets there, extend the left heel and just release and relax. Your left leg extended, your right leg bent. And now reverse that as you bend your left legs, your left foot on the floor, your left knee upwards. And now bend your right knee into your chest. Extend your right leg up towards the ceiling and then extend the right heel. Point the right toes as you lower your right leg back down to the floor. Extend the right heel and release, relax onto the floor. Bend your right knee, bend your knee into your chest. Extend the right leg upwards, extend the right heel. Point the right toes and then lower the right leg back down to the floor, extending the right heel. And last time, bend your left knee into the chest, extend the leg upwards, extending the right heel. Point your toes as you lower your right leg back down to the ground. And just before it reaches the ground, just extend the heel, release and relax back down to the floor. And then bend your right knee, and then bend both knees back into the chest, and just enjoy rocking from side to side. And then placing your feet on the floor, place your hands on your abdomen, elbows out, and just take a couple of breaths, noticing your abdomen expanding as you breathe in and breathing out, how your abdomen moves a very small amount away from you. And you can just slide your hands slightly up towards the base of your ribs, onto your ribs. Your elbows will move slightly further apart. And this time, feel your ribs expanding as you breathe in and breathe out. It's a way to reconnect with your breath. We so often stutter our breath or we're in a hurry. And this is just quite a nice way to reconnect with our breath. And then lowering the elbows, once more hugging the knees into the chest. And rolling on to one side, come to a seated position or rolling up. And we move now, leaving the Samana energy to the heart. So again, there are different ways of doing this. Come to kneeling, and there are many ways of doing this. So I'm going to slide my right leg forward and cross it over the left, so it's like a crisscross. So hopefully you saw that. My right leg comes forward and then crosses over. And then I sit back. Now then, if I can't get my bottom, or you can't get your bottom on the ground, then please do use a bolster or support. Ideally, you're going to sit your bottom on the ground between that and then open your feet out so your feet represent a cow's ears. And you'll feel this stretch in the right outer side of your hip. Sit up and hold your right knee and you'll feel that even more. And then keep holding your right knee with your left hand and bring your right hand behind you. As you sit up, breathing in and breathing out, turn to look over your right shoulder. Press your back right hand down as you lengthen your body. And breathing out, turn. The head is the last thing to turn. And stay here for a couple of breaths. Come back to centre and just holding your left knee with both hands, just nod forward as a gesture to compensate for the rotation that we've just done. And then sitting up, hands either side of you to secure you. And you can do this however you want. I'm going to press down with my hands, come forward once more into a kneeling position, and swap over. So this time I unravel my legs, and my left knee comes forward in front and then goes over my right knee, and then I sit back again. It's a very good hip exercise, as you can see, but only if you can get there. And feel again that you can use support. If this is not good for you, you can always stretch out the bottom leg. So I could stretch out my right leg so that it's not buckled up. Sitting up, holding my left knee, and then breathing out. Your abdomen comes in slightly. As you turn towards the left, your left hand can rest on the ground to support you. Breathe in as you lengthen your spine, resting on your left hand, and then breathing out, turn to the left. Your head is the last thing to turn.
Your shoulder is away from your ear. Come back to the centre, clasp both, your left knee with both hands, and then just nod forward. And then hands either side of you to roll forward onto the knees or unravel however is good for you. So I'm coming forward, I'm unraveling my legs, I'm tucking my toes, and then I'm gently rolling up to a standing position. Take your time, roll up vertebra by vertebra, come to standing, lift and roll your shoulders. And step your feet to quite a wide triangle. So the classic instruction is step or jump your feet 3 feet apart. So I'm going to turn my left foot in 45 degrees, my right foot goes out. I'm going to place my left hand on my left waist to open up the shoulder, and my right hand goes out in front of me. I'm going to look beyond the third finger of my right hand, bending my right knee, dropping my weight centrally, so that I'm making sure I'm not putting weight on this right leg. I'm securing my weight by bringing my weight back into my left outer heel, which is quite difficult. And then I can either stay like this or come into a true warrior by raising out the other hand. Virabhadrasana 2. This lifts, uplifting at the chest level. So it's an uplifting for mood as well, pose. And then you can either keep your hands out or place your hands on your waist to bring your feet parallel. And then you reverse your feet. So my right foot comes in at an angle of 45 degrees. My left foot turns out. If you were to draw a line, then the ideal would be that your front left heel, and I notice that mine's not, if you drew a line, it would intersect to the mid of your back right arch. So right hand on the waist, it opens out your right shoulder, left hand out, look beyond the third finger of your left hand, soften your left knee, dropping your weight centrally, and to secure that you could bring the weight onto the back heel so that you're not straining or putting weight on your front right foot, left foot so much. And you can make sure that your knee's not coming in by just opening your knee, just making sure that it's not coming in. And then you can either stay like that or open into full warrior. Your hands are shoulder height, and sometimes it helps to lift your hands up like wings and then drop them down so that there's a sense of lightness. And then drop your hands down, straighten your feet, and then heel toe your feet in. So heels come in, toes come in, heels come in, toes come in, heels come in, toes come in, and then just adjust the standing. Feet either together or hip width apart. Raise your right arm, use your left hand to support against your left thigh, and breathe out, coming over to the left. Breathe in, come up slightly, breathe out, coming over. You're dynamically coming in and out. Breathe in and then breathe out. Your body is like between two panes of glass. It's not leaning forward or back, it's almost encouraged to lengthen, if you imagine between two panes of glass. Come up and lower your right hand, and then raise your left hand. You're turning your arms so that the inside of the arm is the inside to the ear. You should glue your arm to your ear. Easier said than done. Use your right hand as support, and then just come over to the right. Come up as you breathe in. Breathe out as you come over to the right. Come up and then come over and come up and lower your hand. And then join your thumbs together. Raise your arms upwards and just sway, swaying palm from side to side. And then lower your hands. And then just your tree. So you can have your toes still on the ground, resting your heel. I'm using my right leg, but it doesn't matter. You can move your heel up, you can have your hands together, you can have your hands out, you can have your hands up. Adopt whichever tree is what good for you. It's a balance, and a balance focuses the mind. You can't think of much when you're balancing, so it becomes a mindfulness exercise. And it also invites the left and the right brain hemispheres to coordinate with one another or to communicate. Come out when you're ready, and then change to the other side, adopting whichever tree is right for you. In yoga, balances can be dotted in anywhere, really, but in this sequence, it's here. And then when you're ready, come out. And we're still at the heart level, so lift and roll your shoulders, bend your knees to come back down to the ground, and then come to lie on your front. Elbows on the ground. You're coming into Sphinx. So Sphinx is classified as a back bend because you're lifting from the chest. It's a softer version of Cobra. Cobra, you have your elbows much further back and you're lifting up higher. Sphinx, you move your elbows away from you as much as you like. You're looking down on the mat or looking along the floor, and just feel that the back of your neck is extended, and adjust your elbows to be comfortable, and just enjoy the relaxation. Your heels can drop out to the side. You can wobble your bottom from side to side, particularly if you've done a lot of gardening. It's part of an SIS, sacroiliac stabilizer. And just enjoy the rest, moving your body in a slightly different way. And then slide your elbows out, place your hands one on top of the other. You can either have your hands flat or make fists to rest your forehead on your hands. And then move your knees slightly further apart and lift your feet to the ceiling as you just sway your feet from side to side. And again, this is quite releasing. You're being supported by the ground once more. And so it becomes a very safe movement. And then lower your feet back down to the ground, bring your knees slightly closer together. Take your hands out from underneath you, slide your hands back, elbows in, pressing down onto your hands as you lift back up to kneeling. Move your knees slightly further apart as you then bring your bottom towards your heels, coming into a rest position. And if you have an option, rather than just let your head hang, although if it's on the floor that's fine, to slide your elbows out and bring your hands in, and once more rest your forehead on your hands, either making fists or just palm on top of palm and resting down slightly there, you choose. So any version of Child's is moving the spine in the opposite direction to the direction we've been in Sphinx.
So it becomes a balancing counter pose, but again, this is very calming to the nervous system to come into child's pose, and it encourages breath into the back of the body. It uses the lungs, encourages you to breathe in a slightly different way. And the space between your vertebrae are open. And then very slowly pressing down with your elbows to lift yourself up, hands down on the mat. Just move your knees together and then just drop your bottom to the side to come down to once more a lying position. But before we do that, just come via seated. Hands can either be in Dandasana or you can adopt a more relaxed position. So lengthen your body, so you're lifting from the chest once more, but you're carrying on to lift your chin slightly, raising your eyes up. It's not throwing your head back, it's a very deliberate lifting of the chin, it's a controlled lift. And then bring your head upright, bend your knees and come actually onto your back once more. Feet are on the ground, knees are up, feet are hip width apart. And this time we're going to just gently do a pelvic tilt. So that is pressing the back into the ground as if you're going to lift your bottom. And then just release. And as you release, there is a tiny gap that appears at the base of your spine. And then once more roll your spine to press into the mat as if you are going to lift your bottom up and then just release. And this time as you press your feet down into the ground, lift your bottom actually and then bend your elbows and lift your elbows. They can be bent or straight. Your chin tucks down naturally towards your chest as you lift up. Your hands stretch out, up behind you. And you're coming into a variation of bridge. And then breathing out, then start to lower your arms and your body and bottom back down to the mat. And once your bottom is touched down, hug your knees into your chest. Stretch the toes to the ceiling. You will form a natural V. Extend your heels and place the palms together through your V. Bend your legs, hug your knees into your chest, and once more place your feet back onto the ground. Hands, palms down on the mat alongside you. Press down with your feet, press with your hands to support lifting you up, then bending your elbows and lifting up your elbows. Chin cups into the chest, stretching up behind you. You can lift as high or as low as you would like. And then breathing out, start to lower down. And as your bottom comes to the ground, you can begin to hug your knees into your chest. And then extend your feet up to the ceiling, extend your heels, your palms come together. And then hug your knees into your chest. And then just hug your knees and rock from side to side. And then still hugging your knees, hug your knees into your chest. Still holding them, let them travel away from you. It's moving your spine or massaging in a slightly different way. Hug your knees into your chest, and then still holding them, let them travel away. And hug your knees into your chest, and still holding them, let your knees travel away. And hug your knees into your chest, and still holding them, let them travel away. And then just release your feet back down onto the ground. And then you can extend your legs out into Shavasana. You've got other options. You can always keep your knees bent if that's better for you. So you're extending your heels and then just releasing and relaxing. Opening your palms upward, your arms are a little bit away from you. Again, exposing and opening the lung meridian points on the inside of your shoulders. Just take a breath in and out. Consciously scrunch up your feet and tense your legs, and then consciously let everything go. Consciously scrunch your bottom and just release and let go. Consciously scrunch your arms and then release and let go. And then consciously lift your chest up away from the floor and just as consciously release and relax the chest back down to the floor. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears and then consciously lower your shoulders away from your ears, opening your palms. And then very gently turn your head from one side, let it come back to the centre and turn your head gently towards the other side. And once more bring your head back to the centre, going over to the original side, centre and back to the other side. A nod to the third eye, just bend your elbows and lift them up and just very gently take your palms and either massage in a circle. You leave one arm down, just leave one arm. Just massage in a circle at the centre of your forehead, or you can just trace your fingers across your forehead from side to side. The third eye links to our centre of knowledge and intuition, but it also, from a practical point of view, links into the pineal and the pituitary glands, and they are part of our master metabolic control. Controlling, for instance, the thyroid. It's very complex, of course, but... And then just a nod to the crown. Crown poses are, for instance, headstand, but we can nod to the crown by just placing both palms now either side of the top of the head, just holding the head and connecting to our crown energy, which links us to the outside world. It's where we pick up a lot of outer vibrations. If we go into a busy supermarket with lots of flashing lights, that kind of connects into our connection with the outside vibes of the outside world. And then just lowering the hands to either Shavasana or resting on your abdomen. And take a moment to have a thought or a wish for the day. And think that thought again. It can be for yourself or it can be for somebody else. And then seal your intention for the day by thinking the thought again. And then just let that thought go, drifting off. It's set in your intention for the day ahead. And then you can either stay here, relaxing, drifting off, or you can come to seated position to end the class. You choose. If you're going to come to a seated position, then just move your fingers and toes to connect you with the earth. You can bend your knees once more into your chest, rocking perhaps from side to side. No hurry. You can take your time to come to the side, perhaps to your right side, away from your heart. And taking all the time you need to come up to a seated position. To take a physical or a mental bow for yourself.